Another big driver is environment. Obviously, agriculture is absolutely dependent on the environment. Arable land is limited, and there are trade-offs between agriculture and other uses that have a higher economic value. So, for example, in the United States, the inventory of arable land has actually declined by about 10% over the last 50 years, owing to arable land moving to other uses. Climate change is a big factor and will become a larger factor, and it works two ways. Agriculture and forestry combined contribute about 25% to greenhouse gas production, but they're also negatively affected by increasing temperatures and will have a strong depressing effect on yield in some regions. There are growing pressures on water resources, and this constitutes a major challenge that can, at least in part, be met by improved scientific management methods. And then the other key driver comes from the government sector. Governance is crucial to the agricultural system. It typically provides most of the resources for research, for education. It's involved in safety and other forms of regulation in agriculture, and agricultural policies ranging from subsidies and price supports to soil conservation policies, to weather forecasting, to trade policies are all functions of government. So government is a very big player in the agricultural system. Now, just a few key conclusions from this effort. First, as I've already tried to emphasize, science and technology played a key role in feeding a rapidly growing human population. We have about 7.3 billion people on Earth today. We wouldn't have that many if it weren't for the advances in scientific agriculture over the last 75 years. The food, water, climate system is a strongly interacting system with multiple feedback loops. There are links between deforestation and agriculture, links between water management, irrigation, and food yields per unit arable land. There's an expansion of pests and diseases and their management, and many other factors. Another big conclusion is that time lags are an important part of the system, and these can serve to destabilize the system under certain circumstances. And finally, the role of policy and international cooperation is crucial. The countries of Latin America, particularly Brazil and Argentina, are the largest agricultural exporters in the world, followed by North America, the United States, and Canada. So our hemisphere plays a large role in feeding the rest of the world. One of the key elements of this project was to foster cooperation among the various academies and the people who are part of those academies throughout the Americas, and I'm proud to have been able to play a role in this project. So that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Michael. A small comment on that topic. We have recently just asked to bring here some copies if they are available. We have just concluded a study together with Embrapa about productivity of agriculture and livestock in the region of Amazon. Actually, we analyzed 770 municipalities that are included in the area called Legal Amazon. And we show in the last 10 years, you increase the productivity in agriculture and livestock. So you have more production and respect to the environment. I mean, there is not more deforestation in these areas. The most productive areas, they have no more deforestation and they have more production. I think that's an example that we need to work on. That is to increase production because as countries in Latin America, we need to guarantee growth, but at the same time, we need to guarantee sustainable growth. I mean, we need to have more food for people. We have to take in consideration that the population is growing, but we also need to take care of our environment. So it's an example. I just asked to bring some copies if they are available, so to have available for you. So now, Mr. Eduardo Fracassi. Edu?
Thank you. Thank you for paying attention. Can we have the simulator on the screen, please? Well, I'm going to talk about some issues that were mentioned by Carlos this morning. This works or not? What do you want? You prefer this one? Hi. Well, this morning, thanks. This morning, Carlos mentioned that it was necessary to reach people. So we need something about communication was mentioned. So you need to. How many of us know what are the time constraints for solving the climate crisis? How many? One? Only one? Two? Oh, so I would reformulate the question. What is the first number should be? This works? Sorry. No, it doesn't work. Sorry. The first number, the one to the left, what should be? This one. Which year should we stop? Should we peak emissions? Which year? Now. So everybody should answer now. But the public doesn't know that. They don't know. So what did these people from MIT do? Well, they made a spin-off. They created a simulator, and they made a spin-off which is called Climate Interactive. And I'm leading this initiative in Latin America for the moment. Well, we try to get people to get emotional about climate change, because up to now we have newspapers, we have books, we have films like Al Gore's films, but climate action is slow. I would say slow. Someone would say it's fast. No, so it's slow. Well, these people from Climate Interactive and MIT created this simulator and a game that's called World Climate. So you have different. I asked her to put the one region, the global one, but it can be divided into 6: USA, China, India, European Union, other rich countries, and the poor countries. So they negotiate and speak. They make a persuasion exercise, and they come to conclusions, and they are fed into the simulator. So let's write here, please, what someone on the street, well, how much time do we have to solve the crisis? And I would say 50 years. So we could write here 2050, please, and hit the enter button. And you see that global mean temperature diminished. So people in the street or in universities or anyone can get a feeling about what does it take to solve the crisis. So, well, if you stop at 2050 and you start going down in this number, please, write 2070. Let's say 2% per year. Sorry, don't enter the 2% number till I say so. Which number do you think that you will get here? Would you say 3.5, 3.2, 3 degrees of change? 3? Who votes for 3? Oh, we have 2 voters. I'm very happy. Anyone else? Oh, he votes. So three. Let's try with 2. Here. Is it? And hit enter. Well, we're a little better, but still we're outside the secure zone. As this is 1.5 degrees. This is the Paris Accord, and 2 degrees is what IPCC was talking about. So people with almost no knowledge about climate change begin to understand that about the urgency of solving the crisis. So we can try another number. Perhaps someone says, well, 2030. Let's try with 2030 here. We have 3 degrees. We're better. So, but people say, well, we could plant trees and stop deforestation. Let's do an effort. How much effort do you think that it is possible to do? 50% of the maximum effort, would you say? Anyone agrees with me? Well, we have 3. That's good. Let's try with 50% the deforestation, desmatamento, slowing effort. Write 50, please. Well, we have some advantage, but it's not so big as we would expect. What if we plant trees and we do this? And how much would you do of an effort? 50, 60, 50? 50. Well, let's try with 50. Well, but before she does that, what number we will get here? Who votes for 2.8? Yes, he does. Well, who else? Anyone else? 2.7? 2.6, 2.7. Well, let's try. And enter please 50% effort. Or surprise. The question I make you, that you are a scientist, I'm not, I don't know anything about climate change, I'm an engineer. Why is this happening? Why is no change when we plant trees? Why no change? Why there is no change? I do my 50% of the best possible effort, and there is no change in global mean temperature change. Well, you know, there's a famous cycles that were discovered and were seen in the Al Gore film and with the ice ages. I don't know how much time I'm left. I don't want to see. But the issue is that we are polluting much more faster than vegetation can eat this carbon. So that's the issue. Because no change. So perhaps we can change this number to 2040. This one. The second one. So people begin to understand about urgency. What would be the best solution? And we end this. What numbers would you write here? 2019. He says 19. Who votes for 19? I want to see all the hands up. Well, please, 2019 here. It does make a difference. And if we put 25 here, the second one, please, 25. 35. We have 2 degrees. Yes, and if we put 3 here, what would happen? So it's possible to get to the Paris Agreement, but our mission is to get this to the masses. And that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eduardo. Interesting tool to increase awareness about the problem. Mr. Alberto Palombo.
Yes. They're real.
So,
Ah, eu prefiro na mão aqui. Como é que é? Qual avança? Esse aqui?
Laser em cima?
Não, mas avançar.
Aqui.
Ok. Ok. Good afternoon. Who ate salad in lunch? Okay. It has some component called lactarium. That's a very good sedative. And my challenge is to see if I can go against an opium-like enzyme, like lactarium, that is contained in lettuce. So, see, we need to see how we can keep alert with these interesting presentations. By the way, excellent simulation. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the organizers for bringing such a good group of scientists to speak about such a difficult to communicate work. And I'm not one of those scientists. I'm a practitioner. So I'm here to tell you a story of how we need so much of the work that you do in helping us to understand the world we live in and the challenges that we have in the futures. And particularly, I'm a water manager, and I represent the Inter-American Water Resources Network, which, if technology contributes, okay. It is just a multi-stakeholder network. It has one particularity. It has everybody in it, including governments, including countries. It has official representation from the countries, from all of the Americas. And they are coordinated to the Organization for American States. And the purpose of the network is to have some sort of gathering place to see what is best out there to help us in doing our work in water management. But recently, we have found out that it's not only water. Water needs to be considered among many things because water is in almost everything. So we rely on the understanding of how water relates to things like energy and agriculture, food production, nutrition, and all the things that we have, all the topics that we have mentioned here today. And we are preparing a GEF proposal that, along with the IIASA and the Organization for American States and probably one of the cooperation development banks, in order to come up with some sort of roadmap on solutions and a narrative that if we put it in front of time, we're going to be able to improve the way that we can manage all these resources at the same time. I'm not going to explain that graph, but we have been around since 1993. We have organized something called the Inter-American Dialogues on Water Management. And this is a place where science practitioners and policymakers meet in order to see what are some of the roadmaps that are around, like there were the Millennium Development Goals. Now we are talking about the Sustainable Development Goals. Before that, just for water, we had the Mar del Plata Agreement. And we have used all those guidance in order to then come up with some sort of recommendations out of each one of these meetings. And it's a good barometer to see how water policy is being developed in the region. So much for the plug for IWRN, and I'm very grateful to Albert and his staff for inviting me here today. And well, they give us this wider perspective on how to study water with other things, and food and water, poverty and equity in water, energy and climate change on water, and see all these drivers and the tools that we have in order to promote good policies. Because it starts with that, the science to policy, and the science to practitioners. Now we need to bridge it to the science to people through the understanding of all these systems. And I'm not going to go to detain on this because you have made very good presentations, the preceding presentations, and I'm not going to stress anymore the importance of each one of these components in this triad of water, energy, and food or land. But we live in a world, as Eduardo said, that is changing very quickly, and that change is what is promoting this outcomes that we are measuring on the temperature rise. Okay, but we don't know exactly what is going to be in 2050, in 2100, but definitely we'll need to do something about all these figures. I checked this just a minute ago, and there were about 235,000 people that were born today. I mean, plus population today, and this is happening every minute. But as far as the science to the policy, we need, of course, the best evidence, because politicians, they just don't believe you. Okay, we need to prove things. When I was working at the water management South Florida Water Management District in the Everglades restoration, we took 9 years to study the Everglades. Hold on. I don't know why this went on. And it took 9 years just to see how a watershed was working, looking at all these elements, and we didn't have too clear. We didn't have the capacity to explain to people about this or the linkages among all these things. But we knew that we had to restore the Everglades ecosystem to some level that it could sustain some ecological services, now we call, in order to be able to maintain, for instance, water sources for about 10 million people. When the ecosystem in Florida cannot sustain anymore 10 million people with the current technology, with the current level of investments that we have for water sourcing. So we need to, we develop some scenarios, and we establish what were the needs in terms of money, in terms of effort, in terms of time. And then we look at an option, a number of options, of which there were some hard options and soft options. In other words, what was infrastructure development or infrastructure destruction. In the case of the Everglades, we had to destruct some of the canals that were originally built because they were going against the purpose of having some sort of restoration in order to maintain some level of water sourcing for maintaining the livelihood in that region. And I think this is I encourage you to look at it. The Everglades restoration is perhaps the only project, massive project on ecological restoration in which science was really involved in deciding what were those options at the outset. And this was about 20 years ago. So now that we are working with IIASA, we talk not only about solutions, but also the trade-offs. This doesn't come easy, and there have to be some compromises among all the options possible. And of course, indicators in order to see how much and how much we're progressing. But if I can put it graphically, when I was a kid, I was playing with Rubik cubes. And this is more or less the situation that we have. We have sectoral solutions in the well-being or health, economy, society, and nature systems or subsystems. Okay, my 10 minutes is over. And, and this reflects in our watershed. And it reflects, as far as the business in which we are, in water conflicts, competition from different things. Can I have 2 minutes? Go ahead.
Yep.
Can I have 2 minutes? Okay, so right now what we have is ungovernance. Everything is going the different ways. Climate is going in one direction. Water, food, energy, everybody is going in different directions. The summatory in the territory is just a bunch of different objectives and they are how do you say, nullifying each other. And this is what the desired situation is to work with all the solutions, look at the different options that we have, and it's not sectoral. And through time, then we'll have this realignment of objectives in energy, in food production, in the land use, and as a result, in the ecosystem, of course, it will reflect also in this virtuous circle in the territory. And the idea is that, of course, this is a theory, that everybody will take something out of it. This will be a win-win situation. But for that, we need to look at this triad. Is not anymore the census, the nexus of the natural system is more on the human perspective of things. Science to policy, and of course, the finance. How to make this possible in a world in which we have a crisis of valorization of the ecosystem services of nature, as nature, like in the forest, a tree standing is unvaluable. Okay, how do we put a price on that? But anyways, we'll have to come up with some sort of measurement in order to have less uncertainties, less financial risks, and safer investments. And that green zone in the middle is what we call the zone for robust science, safe financing, solid policy, sustainable development. And this reflects also in less risks for investors and return. So it's just all a matter if we take, we are water managers, of course, we're working in basins. So how do we do this? Well, we get a modeling team, talk to the stakeholders, and we put some set of different perspectives, hopefully in a basin council or something of the sort. And IIASA has done this already through a Jeff project. It's called ISWELL. Perhaps it can be mentioned in the break. You look me up, or Albert, and we'll tell you about it. And all these interactions will get us to building some sort of capacity and understanding, not by the modelers, but the people are going to be benefited by the model. And that is what is important, because these people, they will go and talk to their politicians in order to come up with better rules for having access to the resource. And of course, I'm not going to go about this in detail, but we want to really set up the future we want well into the future, so that we have time for all these things to find their way and construct the narratives in order to have this solution and have the desired sustainability, which is finding the answers to these questions. Where? What scenarios? I mean, how? And these are very different and vary from basin to basin. Which is the trajectory or pathway that we're going to take? And of course, the trade-off at what scale, because some of the work that we have done is at the IIASA and many of the places in which we find the guidance for this science, they take a look at aggregated problems for aggregated scales that sometimes do not reflect the reality of the localities. That, for instance, for water or for health in a municipality, this is something that is, they have to see, the administrator, the policymaker, and the practitioner, they need to have, they need to know the applicability of all this guidance that we're getting from science. That's pretty much what the integrated system approach would help them with. And this is the last slide. We are already, IIASA is already taking a look at several basins in those places. And we're talking about putting together a project that looks at Latin America. It's in the context of the Americas, which is the context of my network. But this water futures and solutions is what we look at, and this is one possibility in which we can have this bridging from science to the practitioners, science to the policymakers at the same time, and that's the best shot that we can attempt at this point, and is one way in which we can take what we have been discussing over here into practice. And well, thank you very much for your attention. Oh, this is also an example. I just wanted to bring this up. This is a Gfi Challenge Program that we submitted last week. And Mauricio, you see, Embrapa is here, Embrapi. And this is just taking many of this knowledge and putting it through a funnel on ecosystem, designing some ecosystem of innovation to promote the startups in the private sector, aiming at products and services that aim at adaptation to climate change. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Alberto. I think it's a very interesting approach and complementary to the previous speaker. As you mentioned, that's important to have the tools and to show and interact with the politicians and policymakers. And before, Mr. Eduardo was mentioned the importance to bring the citizen together in this, let's say, in this challenge. So it's basically is science with and for society. I think that's basically, we all agree on that. So do we have questions for the panel, please? So, okay, Albert?
Ask one question from the panel, because you understand this part of the world better than I do. I'm going to give you 3 chances at it. What are the 3 most important pressure points from a systems understanding point of view that you think we need to concentrate on in the Americas over the next 10 years? What are the 3 most important issues that we have to focus on in the Americas over the next 10 years?
Very good question for the basis of the next panel, actually. So, Alberto, as the last speaker, would you like to start?
Well, the first issue is time. Time meaning that we see how the degradation is going, how the Amazon biome is being reduced. The Cerrado is also the land degradation that is going on in pretty much all over in the conflict of uses. So time is of essence. Second is finances. I mean, the valorization of ecosystem services so that policymakers can address good policies in which all these things come together, and that we can show the taxpayers and the citizens that this is something to do. And third is science communicated appropriately. In other words, we are developing good science, but how are we getting this in the hands of the practitioners like my stakeholders in the countries that are breaking the heads to tell their industry, the agriculture, everybody that this is the rules under which we all need to be together.
Thank you. Eduardo? Yeah?
Oh, thank you. I was thinking about Donella Meadows' paper. She speaks about 12 leverage points to intervene in a system. And number 3 would be goals. The simulation, teaching people about the urgency. Well, he said the same. Time and the speed of the decline. And setting goals is important. About that is changing mental models. People should understand things, and at the top of that is changing values. You should understand what is more valuable to you. If you can have a great amount of gold in the room, but if you cannot walk outside the room, what's the purpose of gold?
Okay. So, Michael?
It's a good question. I would put good governance very high on my list because most of these big sustainability issues require effective governance. Okay, so just to go back to the start, I'd put good governance high on my list because most of the successes of the last 25 or 30 years have really correlated with changes and improvements in governance. Education and research are going to play a critical role. I'm not sure I have a number 3. I didn't get far enough in making a list.
Well, and José Eduardo. No, sorry. It's right, José Eduardo.
Well, hello. I would go in the same direction that Michael and Alberto went. I would highlight the importance of the communication, not only to the public in general, but also to the government. Based mostly in my own experience, there is a particular challenge here, which is deliver the information or the intelligence behind all those studies and complex models in a certain way that is simple enough to be in an efficient manner included in some kind of policy, in some kind of effective policy. So, based on the experience of ZARC, for example, there are enormous complexity behind all that, about soil sciences, about climate, about plant physiology. However, nothing of that matters if I can't deliver a simple and effective decision at the end, especially when we are dealing with policies and policies that affect different backgrounds of people. I mean, for example, in that particular policy that deals with insurance and rural credit, you have financial guys using that information, you have sectors of a government using that information, and it's a pretty much delicate or complex strategy to put all those sectors, all those guys together, and they speaking the same language. I think that's a major challenge.
So, Albert, you have a list. Time, finances, science, communication, changing values and mindsets, good governance, education, and policy making, I would say, based on the... Yeah, so you have a good list. I will just very quickly mention how important it is to increase the awareness of the population. Recently, we did an experiment. It was not about the environment itself, but was about the propension to donate of the population. Basically, the experiment was people at the supermarket. They would, the cashier, when you leave the supermarket, would ask you, would you donate this 10 cents in your bill to the check to complete the bill for a good cause for society? And we had 2 themes, two causes for the society, actually, for donation. One was education for poor children, and the other, preserve the environment, or protection of the environment. Guess which theme had practically no donation? Nobody was available to donate to this cause, protection of the environment. So nobody would give literally 10 cents to protect the environment. So that is something that we need to think about. Just an example how important it is to have the citizen together with the science. Okay, so this, what we have been discussing, this new, or this modality of science now, the citizen science, it's also a very important concept to be developed together with the tools that we are discussing here. Okay, so is there any other question?
Yes, my name is Pecorelli. I am from the State University of Rio de Janeiro. And my question is to Mr. Palombo. One of your slides makes me very happy. They are three circles, and you put science in a higher position. It was by proposal or by thought, I don't know. But my question, it makes me very happy to put the science in a higher position. Do you know if the politicians would prefer the finance, for example? And in my opinion, science is in the highest position. But how do you discuss with other people, for example, the politicians? What circle is the more important?
Well, precisely, that triad has proven as the triangle of sustainability, in which you put the environment, the economy, and the social issues. They are not really one more important than the other. As a matter of fact, those circles, to explain it, of course, I was a little bit kind of like tricky. I was coming here to a scientist meeting, so I had to put science at the top. Otherwise, you know. But kidding aside, I believe that is not only science, it's knowledge. You have to have knowledge in order to do things. As a matter of fact, all humanity has evolved to the point where we are, whether we like it or not, by the best knowledge that we have had available and that we assume that it's important. I don't get a commission, but there is a good set of books by a historian called Yuval Harari. He starts by Sapiens, which is a brief history of mankind. And then he goes, Homo Deus, how we became gods because of all the well-being that we have been accumulating, principally because of agriculture. That's a good message for Embrapa. And then how we are going into the next century, and we are promoting these things with the knowledge that we have and the tools that we have. Okay, and then he comes up with a third book called The 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, that is a reflection of the previous two. And this is based precisely on some sort of the valuation that we, each one of us individually make, like what Gorette just mentioned about donating to the cause of the environment or the cause of a poor child. We have a tendency to identify things when when we can really grasp it, and we see the suffering, and then we donate. We see the environment, okay, well, the Amazon is burning, but that is so far away, and that's not going to affect me. So the science will help us understand that the Amazon is really close to everybody, as it is all the ocean health. By the way, this is a big problem, and we have not even touched on it right now. in this meeting. And this is our kind of things that are managing perspectives. And again, this is a matter of communication. So science needs to be communicated. It needs to be as important as financing and as the policy issues that are the result.
Thank you very much, Alberto. And last question, please.
Professor Clegg, he mentioned some possible effects of climate change, and he mentioned the possibility of pests affecting agriculture, and climate change basically promoting those pests. In the context of the Americas, have we seen any events of climate change directly affecting agriculture, either through drought or through pests or through something? Have we had a very decisive event?
I can't cite a specific disease. There are lots of, one of the, coming from California as I do, one of the major issues is always the introduction of exotic pests. And so a lot of the well-established agricultural commodities are constantly threatened by introduced pests. And that's also true in Brazil, I think. But citrus greening is an example in Brazil that we worry about in California. Another example of a pest that is a big threat is something called Pierce's disease, which was introduced into California, threatens the grape crops. That's counting indirect economic effects, it's a $33 billion industry. So pests, the importation of pests and diseases is a very big contemporary issue. And the expectation is that with climate change, the range of some of these pests and diseases will expand and therefore become a threat in areas where they were not previously a threat.
Thank you.
Okay, so I would like to say thank you for all of you that contribute to this panel. Thank you. And now we are going to have a small break and come back in 15 minutes so we can make short our delay today. Okay? There is coffee outside, though. So.
Thank you for the speakers and moderator. Thank you.
Okay.
So, okay.
Eu vou deixar pra ele falar, tá ok, tá ligado? Tá.
Pra ele vir buscando.
Seu Maurício.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is a led part of third panel for today. So this panel and audience discussion is Future Strategy Planning, IIASA Strategy 2021-2030. Building on the previous panel discussion, this session aims to link the regional challenges for systems analysis with the development of a new strategy for the International Research Institute, IIASA. It will gather inputs from the panel and the audience on how the IIASA future strategy can focus its research on major societal issues, identify science-based policy solutions, respond to the interest of the broader membership, and compete and collaborate with the research organizations studying global problems. I'd like to introduce and invite you our moderator for this panel, Mr. Mauricio Antônio Lopes IIASA, guest scholar and former president, the Brazilian Agricultural Research Corporation, Embrapa, who will then explain the format of the panel. Please, Mr. Mauricio.
Thank you very much. I'm here again. Good afternoon. It's really nice to have the opportunity to dialogue with you using an interesting tool. We are going to use a web platform to dialogue a bit about the future strategy of IIASA. What I'm going to do is to present in a PowerPoint set of PowerPoint slides how the process of formulation of the next strategy of IIASA is being developed. We have preliminary information about the strategy of IIASA. We want to expose this information to you and to listen from you, what you think. These choices are good choices or they are not good choices. What about these choices in relation to this region, to the American continent? So the idea is to use the opportunity of us here, of you here listening all day about system analysis, listening about IIASA, to take the opportunity to gather your inputs and your vision on the strategy for this organization in the next 10 years. IIASA has its strategic planning, its current strategic plan ending in 2020, and a new strategic plan will be implemented from 2021 to 2030. We are working on this strategic plan throughout this year, a process that was initiated in February this year, and we hope to finish it in November this year with the presentation of the proposal of the new strategy to the IIASA's council. So what we have now, it's a preliminary version of this strategy, some information on this preliminary version that we will expose to you. And using this web platform, we want to gather this information and show it to you in the screen. So I have the support of Jan, who was the person that was able to set up this, this platform. Can you pass the first one, Jan? There is a bit of improvisation here because the best way to do this is with two screens, but it is not possible to do it like this in this room, so we will do it only in this screen. What we need now, it's your cell phones. I expect that everyone has a cell phone connected to the internet. So if you could please connect your cell phone to the web, to the Wi-Fi of this building. And please open your navigator and go to this site, slido.com. Okay? You click your navigator in your cell phone, and then in the address area, you just type slido.com. And when the site opens, when the platform opens, you will see the space to add this password, okay? And when you type this password, EU 2019, it will bring you to this Slido platform that has been already set up for our dialogue here, okay? Any doubt about it? Is it clear? Okay, Albert is struggling here to find the Slido way. Oh, you are trying to connect to the web. No problem. Oh. The password is HIO. Oh, for the web. The connection to the web.
643 760. Alan knows it too.
Okay, anybody else need help? We need many votes. Okay, apparently everything is okay. So I'll move on then and explain to you a bit how this, this exercise and this dialogue will be conducted. Jan, please go down a bit. The next one more. Well, basically, a bit of information on the strategic formulation process of IIASA. I'm a member of the task force that is in charge of steering the process. Obviously, it happens as in any organization. We have meetings, we have interactive platforms, we have benchmarking analysis, we have you know, all the tools usually used for strategy plan formulation. And one innovation in this cycle of strategic planning of IIASA is that we are using this concept of the why, what, and how to define the future strategy of IIASA we are trying to respond these three questions. Why IIASA exists, what IIASA is supposed to do, and how IIASA is going to do that. Okay? What is the reason for IIASA? To be true to that reason, what choices IIASA should make, what IIASA is supposed to do concretely, and then how IIASA is supposed to implement it, to do it. Okay? Basically, the document will have these three parts. Obviously, we are not going to go through the whole thing because it would take a long time. I will start with a very easy question for us to test the platform, okay? Jan. It's very common in more modern strategy plans to have a motto. The institutions are working this concept of a motto, being a motto, a short phrase encapsulating the belief and the purpose of the organization. This is very much used as means to communicate and to disseminate and to tell with very few words, a phrase, what is the belief and the purpose of the organization. Okay? In this preliminary version of the document, of the IIASA's strategy, we have this motto that you are reading there, System Science for Transformation. Okay? To test our platform, we want to go to the first question. Yeah, we'll go down. No, just go down. Yes? Considering, again, what is a motto? A motto is a short phrase encapsulating the belief and purpose of an organization. Do you think that this motto, System Science for Transformation, is an adequate motto for IIASA, the organization you have been hearing about all day? Do you think that it conveys well what an organization dedicated to system analysis is supposed to do? Now you please go to the platform. I believe you can already find this question there. Everybody found the question in the Slido platform? Now you can answer the question if you like it or if you don't like it. So we have 8 answers, 12 answers, 83% like it, 35% don't like it, 17 answers, good. 21, 23, keep voting, please. Keep voting. Keep voting. Okay, 27, oops. Keep voting, 29, okay. Done, 29 votes. Yes. Oops, good, 1 jumped in. 30 votes for, and 60% yes, 40% no. Back to our PowerPoint. Yeah, go down, please. Sorry about that. It's a bit improvised, but I think we will do well. Would you have a better motto for IIASA? Do you have an idea of what would be a better motto or words that should be in IIASA's motto that you didn't see here? Would you like to share with us? If you have, from the top of your mind, a good motto, if you didn't like that one.
Do you want us to write it? It's going to come
You can write it. We are going to produce like a cloud word for you to show it's not a cloud.
This is just so you should get a question and you can just type in what you think the motto
Yeah.
would be.
So the question there, would you have a better motto for IIASA? Share it with us. It's not possible to do it in a cloud after the answers? If they just want to use a word and not exactly a motto. Anyway, let it happen. We have 2 already. Resilience. We have no, somebody is really unhappy. 2 unhappy ones. Resilience, sustainable transformation, policy-oriented research, society. Yeah, good. Good, that's exactly what we need. If you don't have a good idea of a motto right now, put a word that you think it must be there. So it will be in the cover of IIASA's strategy, okay? If you want to have a word that must be there, tell us which would be this word, if you don't have right now a phrase or a motto. Poverty, sustainable systems, system science for survival, co-production, poverty, sustainable systems, system science for survival, co-production, oops, coming back, system analysis for sustainability, policy-oriented research. Yeah, we have 15 suggestions. Keep going. Okay? 16, 17. Oops. The global, yeah, no problem, no problem. It's always like this. Sustainability, yes. Scientific solutions for, the yes is part of it? Oh, good. Yes. Right in the cover, huh? Stakeholders, system thinking for policy, intelligent systems. We have 20 already. Okay? Bit more, few more seconds. I think we have enough. Yeah, we can. Oh, okay. One more minute for. Now we know what Alberto Palombo will add there. It was the last one. System thinks options for a sustainable world. Yeah, good, Albert. I was not supposed to disclose it, but since you. System science for life transformation, 23 votes. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's exactly what we need. We have your evaluation for the motto, which was positive, but we have now here lots of ideas that we will obviously look through and consider when we move to the next version of the strategy. So now we can move to the next one. Question 3. You've seen this in my presentation this morning. The one important section in the strategy is the challenges, the what. What are the challenges that an organization like IIASA must embrace for the next 10 years, having the 2030 horizon? And we are looking into these 3 domains, the biosphere, the techno-economic, and the social institutional domain. I don't think that I have to tell you what are these domains. The biosphere, everything related to environment, the natural resources, and the land use, and so on and so forth. The techno-economic, obviously the economic paradigm and technology, innovation, and so on. And the social institutional domain related to population, cities, people, behavior, and all that, okay? The next question then. In your view, what is the most important challenge domain for the Americas? Choose only one. Obviously, if you are in Asia, you may have a choice. If you are in the American continent, you may have a different choice. If you are in Europe, we want you to give us your favorite, the one that is more important, considering where we are and the challenges that we have here in this space. Okay? Please vote in one. Well, 11, 14. Social institutional, running fast in front, 19 votes, 23. Okay, keep going. Well, yeah, but we know that there is an interdependency, but we want to get like the hit. What would be something really true that jumps in? I think it's clear here. It's very clear what people feel that it's really key. Social, institutional domain, techno-economic domain, biosphere. I'm a bit surprised with the biosphere, but anyway, I'm not supposed to influence you guys. Sorry, forget about what I said. 31. It's about to finish. Any? Go on, vote. Okay, let's close it. Good. Thank you very much for your contribution. We go to the next one. The specific challenges within each of these domains. So we have natural challenges related to natural resources, to environment, to ecosystems, climate, technology, innovation, economies, institutions, governance, behavior, values, people, cities, etc., etc. So the next question then is, in your view, which are the three most important specific challenges for the Americas, for this region where we are? Share your three top priority challenges there. That's the next question. You have all these options listed there. Choose three of them. Okay? Okay, let's start then. Good. It's an interesting tool. Huh? I'm sure a lot of you would like to use it in the future. That's quite practical and quite powerful. 10 votes, 11, governance on top, innovation, institutions, natural resources, environment. 18 votes. 21. Okay, okay. 23. Okay, okay, okay. About to finish. 26. Alberto, did you vote already? 27. Okay. 27 votes, 28 now. Governance far ahead with 66% of the votes. Innovation 41. Natural resources 31. Institutions 28. Environment 28. People 21. Behavior 21. A bit more 30, 67. So it's clear your opinion where it is. So at the very end, technologies, ecosystems, economies, climate, values, cities, behavior. Good. We can close this. Thank you for your votes. We go to the fifth question. In your view, there are specific challenges for the Americans missing in this list. There's something here that there is anything that you would like to see in this list and you are not seeing here. What would be this challenge? Okay, and you can just write it down. Is there anything in that list that, or there anything in your mind that you didn't see in the list that, and you would like to share with us? One, education. Anything else? Impact evaluation. Okay. More. Communications. Governance institutions. Education. So now we have a cloud word. So the ones, the opinions or the suggestions that are prevailing, they are shown in a bigger letter. So you see there education, capacity building, I suppose, and then science, security, corruption, political equity, divergence, credit, communications, 18 votes, turmoil, resilience, divergence, research. Okay, 20. Impact evaluation coming in second after education. Okay, 20, 22. Okay, we can close. Thank you. Thank you very much for your suggestions and contributions. Now, a bit of interaction would, if you have a strong feeling about one suggestion that you shared with us, you would like to comment on it? You that voted now, that contributed an idea, would you like to talk about it and to defend it or to justify it? Yes. Alberto.
I'm surprised that the communication didn't come as part of the cloud.
Well, in this case, these are essentially the, well, obviously, yeah.
It is there, but it's because there is one.
Yeah, you mean you're surprised that it doesn't show really with a high impact on the cloud. Yeah. Okay. Good. We'll take a note of it. Okay, anything else? Any other comment? Yeah, you. Okay, you reinforce it. Communication, you think it's very important.
Yeah,
it should be more evident.
In the panel, you all put so much stress on communication. And I think, well, I would like to know how to make sense of communication nowadays that people are so overwhelmingly flooded with disinformation and so on. And yeah, I'd like to...
Excellent.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
Question.
So we are just drowning in information. We don't know exactly how to handle or to disseminate or to communicate it. It's a good point. Anything else? Albert. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a defect of our platform here because depending on how you spell it, it will show us a duplicate. So, in fact, we have a triplicate here, right? So, consider that communication has been more, say, evident than it is shown here. Good point. Anything? Yes, please.
Yes, Stan, thank you. One issue that I would like to have covered is about the instability of democracies. Our country is in the verge of going down the way of Venezuela, and I'm very anxious. And justice doesn't work at all. So it's a terror. It's something that should be studied. Why it's happening, and how can the system can be changed, because it's dramatic.
Good point. Thank you very much. We are taking notes, please, of the comments so that we have this well mapped. Thank you for your contribution. Anybody else? Yes, please.
So it is a qualifier to communication. So we acknowledge the presence of uncertainty in what we say, but we don't express it formally. So and we need to develop the ways in which we can express uncertainty in what we say to other people, such that these people can understand the implications of what we are saying.
That's a very good point. A very good point. You're right, because there is no absolute truth. We may have to find creative ways to make people aware of it. We do our very best, but there is no total certainty about what we are communicating. So, yeah, that's a very good point. Thank you. Anything else? Any more comments? No? Let's go to the next one then. Thank you so much for your vote and for your comments. Now we go to research organization. It's becoming quite common for how we discussed today, that research programs being organized like a matrix or matrices with the usual programs which are more specialized, the vertical bars here, and crosscuts, especially when we think systems or systems thinking. So you must think about the crosscuts. how to accommodate the vertical specialized programs, which are important. They are locus of capacity, of thinking in specific domains, areas, disciplines. But to deal with the challenges of the real world, you must also put in place the so-called crosscuts, programs that take capacities from different vertical structures. So the next question is, considering the challenges ahead, a systems analysis organization like IIASA should organize a research platform with vertically specialized programs, crosscuts, multidisciplinary platforms, a mix of the two, or something else. So we can go and vote. So we are open to vote on the structure of the research programs of IIASA. A mix of the two, only crosscuts, something else, 13 votes. People really like matrix arrangements, good. Okay, 22, 23, more crosscuts, ooh, crosscuts jumping. Okay, 26. Okay. Yep, good. Thank you very much. A mix of the two, so combination of vertical specialized programs with transversal platforms or crosscuts. We move to the next one. Those that responded something else, would you like to share with us? What would be this something else? Anybody? Michael. Dynamic networks. Can you tell a bit about it, Michael? How would it work? Tell our audience how the dynamic networks would be put in place and managed.
Well, you know a network structure.
Yep.
And so what you have is you have kind of islands of temporary excellence, but they are all connected to each other and they evolve over time.
Good. Thank you, Michael, for sharing your idea and explaining to everybody how it would be put together and managed. Anybody else? Any other ideas? Thank you very much. Should we go to the next one? Impact axis. This is a very important part of any strategy document. What are those areas where the organization must produce outputs and outcomes? More outcomes than outputs, preferentially. So IIASA's research uniquely combines a problem-driven and solution-oriented focus with an approach that is interdisciplinary, international, independent, and of highest scientific quality. Over the next decade, IIASA will expand collaborations, its efforts at global, national, and regional scales to disseminate outputs and reach outcomes of great relevance for its member countries and for the global goods. And the next slide presents a preliminary list of what we call impact axis. So from 2021 to 2030, IIASA would be striving to deliver this kind of things to its stakeholders. Advancing the frontiers of system analysis. There is a code name there, Frontier, for your vote later. Providing robust policy advice, the code name Policy. Providing tools and support to the research community, code name Tools. Capacity enhancement and training, code name Capacity. Communication and knowledge dissemination, code name Knowledge. Science and diplomacy, code name Diplomacy. Publications and products for outreach, code name publications. The next then. Question. In your opinion, which are the three results or the three axes that will deliver more impact to the Americas? Share the three most important result axes with us using the code name which is there in the question. Okay? Okay, go on and please vote. Share with us your ideas. Knowledge, 5 votes, 9 votes. Knowledge on top, 11 votes. Tools on top, 13 votes. Policy, tools, knowledge, frontier, 19 votes. We need more votes, at least 22. 21, oh, 23, great. Okay, we have on the top of the list, policy, knowledge, tools, frontier, capacity, diplomacy, publications, 27 votes, okay. Okay, good. Thank you very much for your vote. Knowledge jumped to the top of the list now. We can move on then, Jan. Well, we have a chance. In your opinion, anything missing in this list? What else could IIASA deliver to the Americas, to its stakeholders, to its member countries? Share your ideas. So it's open. Alberto, your comment.
I have a comment on the previous vote,
Okay.
because it is definitely a change. Definitely a change in the IIASA's mission, which currently is Frontier, Code Frontier. Because it is IIASA systems analysis.
Mhm.
So it has, according to this poll, it changed to Communications and Knowledge, an international institute for knowledge.
Not necessarily.
I'm just
Not necessarily.
I'm challenging.
Not necessarily. We can take collectively like the 5 top ones, and it justifies plenty what IIASA do and has done and will do in the future. The sign here is that people are placing a lot of emphasis in knowledge. That's something really important. This organization should strive to share high quality knowledge that is necessary to inform policy and so on and so forth. So it's I think it's good. Thank you. Anything else? Anything missing in this list? Anything that you think IIASA was supposed to deliver and is not listed here? Anything? Okay. No? We move on. Question. Okay, we've done this. And we finished. Time, I think. 5 minutes before. So, anything else? Any comments on this? Would you like to, Aline, please?
Better representation of the Americas within IIASA.
Excuse me?
Better representation of Latin America at IIASA.
Oh yeah. Okay, good point. A stronger presence of IIASA in Latin America, in the American continent, if I understood well. Good. Good point. We'll take note of that.
The other way around.
Repeat it then.
More researchers from Brazil at IIASA
Oh, I
or
see.
from from
Sorry about
other
that.
countries. I've been there, and since I was there, when I
Yeah,
was there,
sorry.
I remember that.
It was my bias because I'm there to try to
Yeah.
make sure that we are doing a lot more here in collaboration with IIASA, but perfectly understood, Aline.
Not
yeah.
only Brazil, but other countries in Latin America. as
Stronger
well.
presence of Latin American countries there, joining IIASA and being part of the team and helping move the organization forward. Albert.
This is a challenge to the entire community. In order to do that, we need more members from Latin America on the IIASA Council. At the moment, we have one and a half. One is kind of sleeping at the moment, and we're trying to wake it up. But we need more Latin American countries to be part of IIASA. So this is a challenge. Just talk to your colleagues, support them, see what we can do to get more people around the table. Okay.
Good point. Thank you. Thank you very much, Albert. Anybody else? Any other comment before we finish this? Okay. Thank you very much. It has been a great day, and this has been a good, great dialogue. Thank you for your contributions. We took a note of everything. This is nice because it's recorded now. We can produce a nice report of this. And I will certainly take it to the task force, and I'll present your ideas and your suggestions and your recommendations and your criticisms to the task force in charge of producing the next strategic agenda of IIASA. Thank you, Jan and Tom, for your support, and also to our colleague here from the foundation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And tomorrow, the same time, and start, I think it's 9 a.m., right? Thank you. Have a nice night. Thank you.